Welcome, dear listener, to the Word of Life program on Radio Maria Kenya Nairobi, a Christian voice in your home. Listen Radio Maria Nairobi on 107.3 FM. Stay tuned. My name is Catherine Akini.
Forgot to turn, still I believe in you. I believe in you, for I find you within me and believe in you. And I know now I've found you alone. You who are listening, let me tell you, God is love. Is love. You who are weeping, let me tell you, God is love, is love. You who struggle, let me tell you, God is love, is love. There can be no other greater love than He who gives His life for His friends. And we have seen and believed in love, the love of God for each and every one. You who are listening, let me tell you, God is love, is love. You who are weeping, let me tell you, God is love, is love. You who struggle, let me tell you, God is love, is love.
Today we want to speak about mutual love. On the night before He died, Jesus gave us His new commandment. Love one another as I have loved you. John chapter 13, verse 34. It is when we love one another that we are recognized as Christians. We are called to keep the flame of mutual love constantly burning. In a fireplace, we have to poke the fire now and then so that it doesn't get smothered with ashes. When cooking meat on the fire, for example, now and again this has to be done. So too in our Christian life, it is necessary from time to time to deliberately revive mutual love among us. Revive our relationships, lest they become smothered with the ashes of indifference, of apathy, of egoism. All these things can infiltrate our relationship and cover the fire without letting it be seen. And if this fire cannot be seen, it's really serious. Why is it serious? Because, as we said, mutual love is what characterizes Christianity. It is the distinctive feature of Christianity. So much so that Jesus said, "By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." John chapter 13, verse 35. Therefore, if this mutual love is covered by these things, ashes, indifference, apathy, egoism, then the other people won't recognize that we are disciples of Jesus. And if the others are not able to recognize us as disciples of Jesus because mutual love is lacking, then there is no point of saying it, preaching it, or talking about it. They won't recognize it because the distinctive feature is precisely mutual love. The early Christians were not distinguished from their wonderful talks or the miracles they performed. What made them stand out was their love for one another. And we all remember that phrase that was said about the first Christians. Look how they love one another. Therefore, we must truly take this point of mutual love into consideration. Let's recall those first points of the spirituality of the Focolare movement, because they lead us to mutual love. First, there is the discovery that God is love. Then, how to respond to this love of God by doing His will.
Just like a dream, just like a piece of madness, but a united world is not a fantasy. Yes, our dream is here, it is not far away. Through the various ways it shall be built. There's a strand that always has attracted all of us, a force of love that moves, breaking all barriers, uncovering rays of light on humanity. This is the destiny of the world, to live in unity. This is the plan made on the world, the rest in the heart of humanity. This is the destiny of the world, to live in unity. This is the plan made on the world, the rest in the heart of humanity.
Where do we find His will? In the Gospel, in the words of life found in the Gospel. Which is the most important will of God? Love. Love of neighbor. Seeing Jesus in our neighbor. All these points come one after the other. Mutual love is a point of union, of joining, of connection between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Because loving our neighbor, loving God, doing the will of God, living the words of Scripture are all things that the chosen people knew and tried to live, even before the coming of Jesus. What was the great thing Jesus did when He came on earth? He brought the life of the Trinity, the reality of the Trinity, and He made us participate in it. How? For one thing, He showed it to us, making us know the Father, telling us that the Father is love. Not only telling us about it, but making us discover it in the relationship of love that He had with the Father, by giving us the Holy Spirit, bearing witness to the quality of love that reaches the point of giving oneself. If we read the Gospel of John, from chapter 13 to chapter 15, we find Jesus speaking about mutual love 3 times. First, Jesus said, I give you a new commandment. So it is really a new commandment. A little later He said, this is my commandment. So it's not only a new commandment, it's really His. It's what He wants, and He calls it a commandment. Therefore, it's truly a command. It is this love which introduces us into the life of Trinity. It is this love which makes us children of God. This love is a bond uniting heaven and earth in a dynamic way. By means of this love, the Christian community shares in God's life, and God dwells on earth wherever believers love one another. If we live our Christian life to the full, we participate, insofar as it is possible on earth, in the glory and praise which is in the most holy Trinity. We participate in it in our relationship with God, and we participate in it in our mutual relationship. This mutual praise and glory, intrinsic in mutual love, makes us rejoice with the simplicity of children, for the joys that exist in our life of communion. Imagine how wonderful is this mutual glory and praise that exists in the Trinity, and that we can also live on earth. We must reach the point of living among us so as to bear witness to others about this Trinitarian life that can be lived on earth. And Jesus, who came on earth, showed us how to do it when he washed the feet of the disciples. Jesus surely wanted to reach everyone, but he needed a group who would give proof of this possibility, who would pass on this life that he brought also to others. In a certain way, he gave us this duty of mutual love as a responsibility, so as to transmit this same divine love. In a certain way, he gave us this duty of mutual love as a responsibility, so as to transmit this same divine love, life, to all people. And how do we transmit this same divine love, life, to all people? By loving the others as Jesus loved us, because he said this, "By this everyone will know that you are my disciples." So let's transmit this divine life by loving the others as Jesus loved us. But in order to love the others as Jesus loved us, we must love one another. We must bear witness to his presence among us. To improve in mutual love means to truly live an authentic spirituality of communion. The Pope also desires this for the whole Church. But why? So that the world may see the love of God, so that the world may get to know Jesus, so that the world may discover the possibility to enter this divine adventure, which is the possibility to live Trinitarian relationships on earth. And the best way to do this is through service to others.
Let your mind fly on the wings of hope, and your soul on the path to freedom. Let your life turn on the tide of wisdom, and happiness be the fruit of your sorrow. Let God's love bring your heart to your brother's doorstep, and the day will dawn when the world will be one, and the day will dawn when the world will be one. Let your mind fly on the wings of hope, and your soul on the path to freedom. Let your life turn on the tide of wisdom, and happiness be the fruit of your sorrow. Let God's love bring your heart to your brother's doorstep, and the day
We must love one another, so much so as to generate the presence of Jesus in our midst. To have this mutual love always is our distinctive feature, and then put this at the service of others by offering ourselves to others in a witness of love, in a witness of service that does not suffocate, that leaves everyone free, that doesn't expect others to understand, that doesn't ask anything, but gives and offers so that it is then welcomed as a witness and not simply as empty preaching. All things considered, this is the new evangelization of which the church speaks, to present ourselves as evangelizers, missionaries, which means sent. We are missionaries because we are sent by God through Jesus. We are also sent to meet people, but to enable people to do what? To meet God. To enable people to meet God. To live the same experience that we have lived, that we lived out by pure grace, that we lived from the moment we were baptized, that we lived especially from the moment we understood the beauty of living this mutual love. Karen Lubick, the founder of the Focolare movement, said, "Whoever lives mutual love bears witness to Christ. They bear witness to the fact that Jesus exists. Jesus exists because he is in our midst. Jesus exists because he said, 'By this everyone will know that you are my disciples.' That is, that I have attracted you. If you have love for one another, to love one another seems such a little thing. And yet it enables us to let the world know that Jesus isn't just someone who lived 2,000 years ago, but he's here now, and that's something amazing." Pope John Paul II spoke about how mutual love gives rise to communion. He urged the whole church to become the home and the school of communion. These are his words. If we have truly contemplated the face of Christ, dear brothers and sisters, our pastoral plan will necessarily be inspired by the new commandment, which he gave us. Love one another as I have loved you. John chapter 13, verse 34. This is the other important area in which there has to be commitment and planning on the part of the universal church and the particular churches, the domain of communion, which embodies and reveals the very essence of the mystery of the church. Communion is the fruit and demonstration of that love which springs from the heart of the Eternal Father and is poured out upon us through the Spirit which Jesus gives us. Romans chapter 5, verse 5. To make us all one heart and one soul. Acts chapter 4, verse 32. It is in building this communion of love that the church appears as sacrament, as a sign and instrument of intimate union with God and of the unity of the human race. The last words on this point are too precise for us to diminish their importance. Many things are necessary for the church's journey through history, not least in this new century, but without charity, all will be in vain. It is again the Apostle Paul who, in the hymn to love, reminds us, even if we speak the tongues of men and of angels, and if we have faith to move mountains, but are without love, all will come to nothing. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 2.
All around the world, people singing,
see. The sun ever shining for you. Look a little closer with me at the fire dance in the sea. They move together easily.
Listen with the wind away we go. Dressed with the glare of the sun, flying over life forever young. Everyone will hear us singing, living. All around the world, people singing, singing about the love of our God. Giving life to all of creation, love is the answer.
Love is truly the heart of the church, as was well understood by Saint Teresa of Lisieux, who said, "I understood that the church had a heart, and that this heart was aflame with love. I understood that love alone stirred the members of the church to act. I understood that love encompassed all vocations, that love was everything. To make the church the home and the school of communion, that is the great challenge facing us in the millennium, which is now beginning, if we wish to be faithful to God's plan and respond to the world's deepest yearnings. But what does this mean in practice? Here too, our thoughts could run immediately to the action to be undertaken. But that would not be the right impulse to follow. Before making practical plans, we need to promote a spirituality of communion, making it the guiding principle of education, wherever individuals and Christians are formed, wherever ministers of the altar, consecrated persons, and pastoral workers are trained, wherever families and communities are being built up. A spirituality of communion indicates, above all the heart's contemplation of the mystery of the Trinity, dwelling in us, and whose light we must also be able to see shining on the face of the brothers and sisters around us. A spirituality of communion also means an ability to think of our brothers and sisters in faith within the profound unity of the mystical body, and therefore as those who are a part of me. This makes us able to share their joys and sufferings, to sense their desires and attend to their needs, to offer them deep and genuine friendship. A spirituality of communion implies also the ability to see what is positive in others, to welcome it and prize it as a gift from God, not only as a gift for the brother or sister who has received it directly, but also as a gift for me. A spirituality of communion means, finally, to know how to make room for our brothers and sisters, bearing each other's burden. Galatians chapter 6 verse 2. And resisting the selfish temptation which constantly beset us and provoke competition, careerism, distrust, and jealousy. Let us have no illusions. Unless we follow this spiritual path, external structures of communion will serve very little purpose. They would become mechanism without a soul, mask of communion rather than its means of expression and growth. Pope Francis constantly underlines the importance of our love for one another. Here is what he says. In the Gospel passage, John chapter 15 verse 9 to 17, after having compared himself to the vine and us to the branches, Jesus explains what fruit is borne by those who remain united to Him. This fruit is love. He again repeats the key verb, abide. He invites us to abide in His love, so that His joy may be in us and our joy may be full. Let us ask ourselves, what is this love in which Jesus tells us to abide to have His joy? What is this love? It is the love that originates in the Father, because God is love. 1 John chapter 4 verse 8. This love is God, of the Father, flows like a river in His Son Jesus, and through Him comes to us, His creatures. Indeed, He says, as the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. John chapter 15 verse 9. The love Jesus gives us is the same with which the Father loves Him. Pure unconditional love, freely given love. It cannot be bought. It is free. By giving it to us, Jesus treats us like friends with this love, letting us know the Father, and He involves us in His same mission for the life of the world. And then we can ask ourselves the question, how do we abide in this love? Jesus says, if you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love. Jesus summarized His commandments in a single one, that you love one another as I have loved you. To love as Jesus Christ means to offer yourself in service, at the service of your brothers and sisters, as He did in washing the feet of the disciples. It also means going outside of ourselves, detaching ourselves from our own human certainties, from earthly comforts, in order to open ourselves up to others, especially those in greater need. It means making ourselves available as we are and with what we have. Dear listener, thank you for joining us for the Word of Life program. Let us meet next time. If you wish to know more about us, contact us on 0706 221816. You have been with me, Catherine Akinyi. God bless you.